Please wait.
Even liberals have denounced you, Mr. Jowhari.
I don't know what you're talking about. Can you kindly wait up?
You are associated with someone who is under investigation by CSIS who has contributed to your campaign. What do you have to say about that?
I've responded to that question already.
Oh, okay. Can you respond right now, sir?
That was in a social gathering, and that fund has been...
When was that picture taken?
Hey,
Hey, how you doing, officer?
how are you?
Good. Are you here for me?
We've been called for something.
Okay. Okay, then
Stop.
why are you walking so
Stop.
close to me?
Stop, because you're in my area. Okay?
Well, you told me to come outside and I acquiesced to your demand, Mr. Jowhari.
I've answered all your questions. It's better that you stop.
Maybe this is a case for a detective or something to look into. I mean,
You're telling me CSIS is investigating. I think it's above our pay scale.
okay, okay then. How you doing, sir? David Menzies with Rebel News. I'd like to talk to you.
Private property, right? Do you realize this is a private property?
I got an email saying everybody was welcome.
Yeah, but not in the building. It could be outside.
Oh, okay then. What are your links to Al Jazeera Onagi?
Can you kindly wait outside?
Sir, why do you support the Islamo-fascist regime of Iran as opposed to Canada?
You've asked me that question a number of times, and I've told you I don't. Please wait.
Even liberals have denounced you, Mr. Jowhari. David Menzies for Rebel News here in Richmond Hill, Ontario. Well, folks, I'm at the meet and greet for Majid Jowhari. He is the Member of Parliament for the riding of Richmond Hill. And he is someone who has, well, let's say he has more baggage than the arrivals terminal of Pearson International Airport. Mr. Jowhari is on the record, in his own words, as supporting the Iranian regime. Mr. Jowhari has some connections with people that are under CSIS investigations, one of whom, by the way, is a contributor to Mr. Jowhari's campaign. And it is very curious and it's very disturbing how someone in our great dominion of Canada is actually a supporter of the Islamo-fascist regime that is Iran. Richmond Hill has a significant Iranian population. Many of those people denounce Mr. Jowhari. Even liberals have denounced Mr. Jowhari. And I thought I would drop by to ask him some questions. He usually gets tongue-tied when I come up to him at other events. And this is a very important writing indeed. In 2019, Mr. Jowhari won it by 112 votes over the Conservative Kostas Minigakis. So this is certainly a riding that is in play for the upcoming September 20th election. I'll go into the facility and see if Mr. Jowhari wants to give me some answers to some tough questions.
I don't know what you're talking about. Can you kindly wait?
You are associated with someone who is under investigation by CSIS who has contributed to your campaign. What do you have to say about that?
I've responded to that question already.
Oh, okay. Can you respond right now, sir?
That was in a social gathering, and that fund has been...
When was that picture taken? Mr. Jowhari, why have liberals themselves denounced you? Well, folks, that was a synopsis of my brief visit to a Majid Jowhari meet and greet last Saturday in Richmond Hill. Once again, the Iranian regime supporter Jowhari refused to supply tangible answers to tough questions. I was eventually told to leave, which I did. But when I continued reporting from the sidewalk, either Jowhari or one of his minions called the cops, and sure enough, 4 York Regional Police cruisers responded. In any event, you had plenty to say about the Liberal Party's Persian Pinocchio. Steve Blaw writes, wow, no real answers here. Whatever happened to debate? Isn't that what politicians are supposed to do? Well, you are correct, Steve. Show me a politician who cannot explain his position, and I'll show you a failed politician. My theory regarding Jowhari, the positions he has taken regarding the Iranian regime and his association with questionable characters is downright indefensible. Salui Quaput writes, thank God you guys are doing real reporting. Well, thank you, Salui. You know, there is actually a newspaper that covers this city, the tragically named Richmond Hill Liberal. They don't ask tough questions, but rather cover for Jowhari. Then again, the Liberal is owned by the same company that owns the Toronto Star. So really, what do you expect? In the meantime, if you can help us bring the other side of the story to everyone, please go to realreporters.ca, and if you're able to, folks, kindly make a donation. John Lawler writes, the cops handled this wonderfully. Indeed, they did, John. I always give credit where it is due, and they essentially affirmed to Mr. Jowhari and his minions that the practice of journalism in a public place is completely legal, given that I was on a public sidewalk in Toronto, as opposed to, Tehran. Rick Mars writes, I may not always agree with Rebel News, but I will never vote for any politician that restricts theirs or anyone else's right to practice journalism. Well, thank you for that, Rick, sincerely. And if these Liberals do get back into power, we should all be very concerned about their proposed internet censorship bills. The Liberal Party of Canada might be all about diversity, but they have a very big problem when it comes to diversity of opinions. Donald Campbell writes, when does Omar $10 million Cotter get his big chance to run for Big Trudy? Well, actually, Donald, our homegrown Al-Qaeda terrorist received $10.5 million, but hey, what's $500,000 when it comes to these Liberals, right? But I wouldn't put it past these cats to recruit little Omar as a future Liberal candidate. Disturbingly, the Liberals have a soft spot for terrorists and terrorism for reasons that are really beyond me. Aside from Omar's taxpayer-funded jackpot for hurt feelings, consider these odious examples of Liberals getting cozy with terrorism. For example, during his disastrous India trip, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invites along Jaspal Atwal, who is a member of an illegal Sikh separatist group that was convicted of attempted murder. Then there's Mark Garneau suggesting last week that it is possible Canada might recognize the Taliban as the new government of Afghanistan. And just a couple of days ago, the Minister for Women and Gender Equality, aka Miriam Monsef of No Fixed Address, she referred to the butchers and barbarians that make up the Taliban as brothers. Oh, brother indeed. And finally, Eric Olmsted writes, aren't there enough smart Richmond Hill voters to get rid of this clown? Well, Eric, in the 2019 election, the Conservative candidate for this riding, Kostas Minigakis, he went to bed as the winner, and then he woke up to find out that when all the mail-in ballots had been counted, Jowhari had won by 0.2%. Where have we heard that scenario before? But in 2021, the good people of Richmond Hill do indeed have a choice to make. Do you want to re-elect a candidate who supports the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world today? Or do you want someone in office who supports democracy and Western values? This is surely going to be a riding to watch come September 20th. Hey folks, that was an excerpt from my show, Rebel Roundup. Now, to get the full meal deal, why not go to Rebel News Plus, sign up, and never miss a Rebel News Plus show in the future.